Okay, call me Maria the way I loved some shots in the movie. Hello, this is Crimson Storm Surge, and today, and only today, we will be doing both my spoiler-filled reaction to the third movie, plus my initial reaction to the movie level in this game, because I have not played the movie level yet, and I also apparently, just don't have it installed on my console, which was very stupid because despite the fact that I should do, because I have the season pass for this game, it just wasn't installed for some reason. And I'm also going the wrong way, so I had to reinstall it, which sucks. I'm literally the opposite side of the map, bro. So I wasn't gonna see the movie till January, but one of my cinemas near me had like an early screening, like a couple of days like before, because I live in the UK, and the film like wasn't supposed to be in this country for like another few days, which was kind of why I was gonna see it in January, because like I wasn't free, like when it should have been like available. So but yeah, as I said, like there was a charity screening where you could see like the movie a few days early. So I went to it, and oh my god, this film is it's so good. It's actually so good. Like, oh my goodness. The film is actually amazing. Like, now again, because I live in the UK, as I just said, and UK cinemas, like compared to America, we do not react to anything. Like, you could play like the most like because I saw Endgame and like No Way Home and Infinity War and stuff like in cinemas. And like yeah, there was like some whoops and like bits of reaction and stuff, but like most of the time, like UK cinemas, we are just deadpan silent. Like but this movie genuinely had like the most audience reaction I have ever seen at a cinema in my life in this country. Like more than Endgame and No Way Home. Like it was actually insane. Like the after credit scene. But may I add, I have never seen any like a cinema give a standing ovation to a movie in this country in my life. And during the after credit scene, everybody stood up and was cheering and clapping like the entire way through the after credit scene. It was actually insane. Like genuinely, it was actually like so crazy. So this film was like super video gamey. So obviously the first Sonic movie was like really not video gamey at all. The second movie was like kind of basically a direct adaptation of Sonic 3 and Knuckles, kind of. But like this third movie was literally just Sonic Adventure 2. Basically. I mean, they took like kind of some creative liberties, but I mean, I'd say that's kind of to be expected. Because that kind of happens with basically like every movie that like ever releases. Is they take creative liberties. But overall it was basically just a one-to-one like thing of Sonic Adventure 2, which was really good because I mean, obviously Sonic Adventure 2 peak game, one of like the best Sonic games, at least from a story point of view. I actually wouldn't say that like Sonic Adventure 2, from like a gameplay is one of my favorite games because like the gameplay is so janky in that game. But like the story is like one of the best story modes of any Sonic game, and they really translated it so well. Like Shadow goes so crazy in this movie. Like Shadow is done so well. Like he is done absolutely perfectly. Like I don't think they could have done Shadow better if they humanly tried. Absolute 10 out of 10 performance from Keanu Reeves. Like he killed it just as much as you would think that he would do, because he was basically just like John Wick, but like in a good way. I mean, they did give Shadow a gun, which like come on, they gave him a gun. Like, what more do you want me to say? He also does fire the gun, because I think a lot of people thought, oh, they're gonna give him a gun, but they're not gonna actually let him use the gun. But no, he does use the gun, He doesn't actually shoot like anybody, he doesn't like hit anyone with it, but he does fire it. And the amount of video game references was crazy. So there's like a bit, it's in the trailer where Sonic jumps out of a helicopter to go after Shadow, and he actually says um, talk about a low budget flight, no food or movies. I'm out of here. And I did like the Leonardo DiCaprio like pointing meme, like he said the thing. I literally did that in the cinema. It was so funny because I was sat next to like a father and like a child. And when they did the low budget flight like line, I literally like half stood up and just like pointed dramatically at the screen. And then these two like stared at me like, what are you doing? Like because they assumably obviously did not get the reference, so it was just so funny. They were just staring at me like, why am I pointing at the screen at them saying like the most nothing line ever? So that was like, doesn't this fire go away? Like if I just stand here, doesn't this fire disappear eventually? Yeah, it does. Cool. But so yeah, that was great. And also music. So that's obviously like been everybody's complaints with the movies is they just don't use video game music. This one used loads. So apparently it actually does play a leitmotif of a city escape at one point. I didn't notice that, but it apparently does. And then you've got Eggman's theme from Sonic Unleashed, which is cool. And then the big one, they play Live and Learn. They don't play the full song though, which is like my biggest complaint with that scene. Because they start playing it, so like at the end of the movie, as everybody assumed, Shadow and Sonic they go super, and then it starts playing Live and Learn. Except it then like just cuts to this really stupid scene of Gerald spanking Ivo Robotnik, and then it just like cuts the song. It does then like go back to an instrumental version of the song, but it does technically cut the song, which is like kind of yeah, like why did they do that? But still, and then as I said, there's also like they do the Green Hill Zone theme of like the ringtone again, like they did in the second movie. So yeah, that's peak. Maria. Now, like obviously the Maria Gerald thing is like the big thing that everybody needed adapted well in this film. They adapt it well. Like the big massive difference is that they basically do the opposite to the games. Where obviously Maria's in space and she wants to go to Earth, whereas in this movie she's on Earth and she wants to go to space. And they do like this whole thing about like stars. Where like even if a star disappears, the light still shines on, which becomes basically like Shadow's kind of catchphrase. For one of a better description in like this movie, it becomes like the his like defining thing. And that was done really well though. Like Maria does still die, which is I think the scene they did with that was really good because again, they kind of did a scene in reverse. So like the guy with like the two different colored eyes, like the gun commander from the video games. I can't remember what his name is, but obviously in the games he was like friends with Maria, and like protected her, and then like obviously the Olive Garden guy, was like supposed to be the film version of him basically. However, they kind of do instead of him being like the guy that protects Maria, like he is in the games, he is actually the guy that kills her in the movie. Because then later on in the film, the Olive Garden guy, he does die. They do because I can't remember the name of him in the movie or in the video game, but they do change his character's name in the movies to what it is in the video game. I'm not really sure why. He also obviously doesn't have two different colored eyes like he does in the movie. It's Live and Learn on here. I think it is, right? Yeah, there it is. so, so yeah, but that was good. Like the fight scenes are really, really good. Like they're the best fight scenes of a Sonic movie so far. Like they are incredible. Like Because again, this was obviously kind of a big complaint with the previous movie, was kind of like some of the comedy, is like a little dodgy. But I think in this movie, the comedy was kind of handled a bit better. Like, as I said, there are a couple of like really stupid scenes with Dr. Eggman that I kind of hated. As I said, like the bit where it kind of cuts from Live and Learn to just do like a silly joke, like that sucked. But most of it, like although it is silly, it's like absolutely in character. Like that's what I took. Like every joke that's in this movie is like absolutely in character for something that like they absolutely would say or do. So I kind of because like there's this bit where like the Eggmen like dancing through these lasers and stuff. But like yeah, it's a stupid scene, but it's absolutely in character for what Dr. Eggman would do. So like I kind of didn't mind it because as I said, it's like something that the character would absolutely do. So yeah, I thought that was good. The humans are used really well in this movie. Like, there's no wedding plot, although because everybody hates that wedding. Like, I'm just gonna go on a rant for a second. Like, everybody hates that wedding scene, and I don't get why. Because it's not that bad, and it then sets up like Gun existing in the universe. Because I remember, because I went to the cinema to see Sonic 2, right? And I was not expecting Gun to even be in the movie universe, let alone them appear in that movie. So when they just like appeared in that film, like my reaction, I just went absolutely ballistic, like in the cinema at the time. So I just immediately forgive that wedding scene for everything because of the fact that it introduces Gun and the absolute shock factor that gave me in the cinema at the time. So like I genuinely do not like mind that scene. There was no like wedding scene equivalent scene in this movie. So as if you did hate that scene like most people seem to, then don't worry because there wasn't one in this movie. Oh nice, we made that jump huge. I did not think I was going to, I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, like I really liked the film. It was really good. I said the ending is amazing. Like honestly, that just made me feel like a little kid. Like the ending of the movie just made me feel like a little kid. With it just going super and fighting the Eclipse Cannon, like that was just so cool. And as I said, because obviously Gerald isn't alive in the video games. He's dead. And obviously he is like alive in this movie, so I was kind of concerned how they do that, but they handled it really well. Actually, he still has like the kind of chaotic nuttiness that he has in because I'd say like he's kind of like the Joker to some extent in the video game, where he has just completely lost the plot and just wants to see the world burn, and they did that really well because like he starts off as like this goofy idiot basically. Um, and he makes like so many because like some of the jokes though with the Eggmen, like some were annoying, but some were so funny because there's like this one point where he makes like this comment about like women suddenly being in the military and how like the world has gone to poop since he died since he was like in prison because there's like women in the military now. And that was like really like that was like a really risky joke, but it was actually really funny. I'm shocked they got away with it. Honestly, like I'm shocked they were allowed to put that in the movie, but it worked though. It was very funny. I mean, a lot of like other things he says because there's like another bit where his like dentures fall out because he's like 110 or something, and again that was really funny because that actually was like it worked. Um, so yeah, no, I definitely think, as I said, the movie was very good. Also like towards the end again, because there's like this bit where they fake out like Tom dying, and I thought that was done like so well, where basically Shadow is becoming like the one thing that he swore he wouldn't be, because like obviously Maria was like taken from him, then he like thinks he's taken like Sonic's Maria from him, and that like just gives him horrendous like trauma and is then like makes him become like a good guy again. And I thought the way they did that was really, really good. Then I suppose at some point I have to address the elephant in the room of the after credit scene. So let me discuss that now, I guess. So there's two. One that basically, because at the end of the movie, like in SA2, Shadow sacrifices himself. And obviously it's like implied he's dead. He obviously is not dead. Um, so that's basically what that after credit scene is like it's just showing Shadow he's not dead. But in this movie they really like focus on the fact that he is from space and arrives in like a black comet. So I do think they are going to do a Shadow solo movie with Black Doom. Like, how insane is that going to be? Like, Shadow has been like not referenced, like Shadow the Hedgehog the game, I mean, not the character, has been like not referenced. It's been like basically blacklisted from ever being mentioned for so long. Then suddenly we get a whole video game sequel to that game in this game. And then we're potentially getting an entire movie based off that game. Like that's just insane to me that even can like actually happen. Like that is just so crazy to me that we live in a timeline where that's actually possible now. And then the other one, so the other after credit scene is Metal Sonic and Amy Rose. However, the big difference here is that there's not just one Metal Sonic, there's like an army of them. So what I think they're going for is either a Sonic CD like Terminator thing, because obviously Sonic CD did have time travel. I really don't want them to do that though, because I want their big time travel movie to be Silver, because Silver is my favourite Sonic character. And if they do time travel for this movie, I feel like we're then just not gonna get Silver. So I hope that isn't the case. The other option I see them doing is doing a fusion between Sonic Heroes and a comic. So there was this comic, I haven't read it, so I can't really talk about it, but there's this comic called The Metal Virus, where I believe Metal Sonic basically creates like this sort of super virus thing that then like infects a ton of other characters, and then they have to, because I think Shadow is actually like a fairly imperative character to like stopping the sort of like weird like zombie virus basically of like Metal Sonics. And in this after credit scene, as I said, there's multiple Metal Sonics. So what I could see them doing is kind of fusing that with like Ultron. So basically, Metal Sonic can like absorb like machinery and technology into himself to then create clones, because the clones are different colors. So you've got like the blue like normal Metal Sonic, and then there's also there's then also like these silver like copies of Metal Sonic, which get destroyed like like really easily. So I'm thinking that they're sort of, and also like the Metal Virus from that comic was also that color, which is kind of again what's making me think that's where they're going with this, but it probably isn't. And then obviously Sonic Heroes, you have the gang like get together to fight the Metal Overlord. So what I see them doing is, I mean, this also relies on them doing like some TV shows or something like in between, which I think they could do because it's not like outwardly stated that the end scene of this movie takes place immediately after the rest of the events of the movie. So you could get a couple of TV shows in, because there are rumors they're going to introduce Team Chaotix. And obviously Amy was introduced in this after credit scene. So what I see them doing is like, say there is like this metal virus that's like going around and like absorbing technology, and like Metal Sonic is creating like a super army that they need to like somehow stop, and it like takes out most of like the world or something. Like most of the technology in the world and stuff like gradually throughout the movie. So basically like the movie gets the point of effectively being like a child-friendly zombie apocalypse. So then like all the various characters from like the various teams then have to work together to like stop this massive like super army of like Metal Sonic clones. And then as like a last ditch thing, on the Metal Sonic like clones then fuse with like the main Metal Sonic to then create the Metal Overlord. I feel like that's probably the best way to put Metal Overlord in the movie, because I feel like otherwise it's just kind of weird. If he just like randomly turns into a giant robot at the end, because obviously like a leaked concept art for Age of Ultron, was like it was gonna have all the little Ultron robots like fused together into like a kaiju Ultron. So I basically like kind of imagine them doing that with Metal Overlord. So you just have all the little Metal Sonics fuse into the big Metal Sonic. And then like and then you have like 5 or 6 like animated animal characters all having to like team up and go super and stuff to fight it. I think that could work really well. I don't know if that's actually what they will do. But yeah, I'm very intrigued to see this. They also definitely look like they're trying to make Amy like more of like this kind of warrior, rather than her just be like a love interest, because she is like, she goes crazy in this after credit scene, and she's like dripped out in like this cloak and everything, which Amy is like literally never worn in a single video game. Which again makes me think they're vastly diverging from her like obsessed with Sonic silly goofy thing, and I think they need to for Amy, because Amy contributes nothing to like any plot of like any game basically. So I feel like if they do effectively completely change her character, that's probably going to be better, because like otherwise all she's really going to do is just fawn over Sonic the entire movie and have absolutely no real character development. So I definitely do think that is the best thing they can do, honestly. But yeah, really intrigued to see where that goes. As I said, this film, amazing. Also, as I said, this film has like Prison Island, it has the Chow Garden, has numerous voice lines. It's really cool in that respect. The one character that is super weird in this movie though is I can't remember the actress's name, but the woman who plays Jessica Jones in the Marvel TV show, she's in this movie as like, because the Olive Garden guy gets killed, she's like the new gun director after he dies, but she basically does nothing. And also like at one point Tom pretends to be the gun commander guy, like after he dies. So the film basically ends with like the Jessica Jones actor's character basically thinking that the gun director is still alive, even though he obviously isn't. So that's like a completely unresolved, like weird thing. Her character honestly could just not have been in the movie, and it really wouldn't have mattered, because you could have just not killed off Commander Walters, that's his name, and then just not put her in the movie at all. I know a lot of people are speculating that in another movie it's gonna be that actually it's Rouge, but with like a hologram like technology, because they really, really like constantly mention hologram technology in this movie, and I do feel like that will go somewhere. Because I mean, yeah, it was plot relevant technically for this movie because they use it a lot to like sneak around places and stuff, but I feel like it's gonna come back like for some other reason. Like as I said, you've got, I don't know, like Rouge pretending to be like a human using it and she's actually not. Or something like that. Or as I said, like even maybe Metal Sonic like uses it to then pretend to be like other characters to then like lure them into a trap to get like infected by the metal virus or something. But either way, I would be shocked if that hologram stuff does not come back in the next movie, because it seems way too mentioned way too often in this film, for it to just be like a one film thing. I could be wrong. I probably am wrong, but at the same time, I feel like it is kind of a waste if they don't do anything with it. How have I literally never opened this chest here? But yeah, as I said, absolute peak movie, and that ending is absolutely incredible. As I said, a few goofy moments, but like overall, the film is peak. Like what else do you want me to say? That the film, it is peak. It is absolutely peak. So yeah, please like and subscribe. Oh yeah, also since I didn't even really, I was just playing through the level like mindlessly. This level is really cool, like in this game. And I really hope we get more because this is like a season pass. So I therefore assume they are intending adding more levels. Because, like, otherwise, why would you advertise it as a season pass rather than just, like, one level? So we better get more levels. And they better be at the same quality. I wouldn't mind more movie levels. Because, obviously, you've got Keanu Reeves to voice Shadow for this game. And I feel like you wouldn't have done that unless you were intending doing more with it. So I do think they are going to do like another movie level, or even what they could do is genuinely just do multiple movie levels. So you just play through the entire movie. I think, or at least like some of the movie, because they could do like a whole level out of like the end barrel of the movie and stuff. But obviously they wouldn't want to show that off till like the movie has been out and had its theatrical run. So it wouldn't surprise me if in like February we do get more movie themed levels in this game. Or honestly, I'd just take Westopolis. Like if you just want to add Westopolis or the Black Comet from Shadow the Hedgehog, I would genuinely be happy with that as like 2 levels. Or you could even split it. So like Act 1 is like Westopolis and Act 2 is Black Comet. Like if you didn't want to add, like an entire Act 1 and Act 2 of like both levels. I also wouldn't like. I know he's not in Sonic Colors, but I wouldn't mind like a Sonic Colors level for Shadow the Hedgehog because I'd be intrigued to see how his wisps interact with like Doom powers. I feel like you can make like a hideous abomination that's like a hybrid between like his Black Doom Surf thing and like a wisp. Um, but yeah, either way, that is this video. This was very rambly and impromptu and not scripted whatsoever. So I hope you enjoyed me randomly yapping for like 27 minutes. Please like and subscribe. Bye.